무대에서 토 한번 해야지. 무대에서 토 한번 해야지.
Life is chaotic and nuanced and wild, and the only way many people can sort through the world's chaos is to write and perform. The Korean music industry is not entirely unique in this way, but times change, and change inevitably sparks innovation in even the most stable musical machines. As such, JYPE Entertainment created something informally known as Mixx pop. It mixes genres, melodies, and ideals in a bold and crazy and unpredictable fashion. But perhaps the most unpredictable influence of Mixx pop was its own eventual disappearance. Rookie girl group Nmixx's world revolved around the concept, but within a mere year of their debut, they adopted a sound that only combines more general influences. Some believe this is the new form of Mixx pop, but the existence of an Nmixx sound is exactly what JYP Entertainment and Nmixx intended to resist with their musical journey. There is a predicament in their artistry which inherently mimics the greatest predicaments of human lives. They mimic the trajectory of belief in divine forces at work in others versus the self and submission to life. Regardless of anyone's personal beliefs, humanity hinges on its own ability to recognize and predict patterns, and Nmixx's art follows a pattern, several shifts in belief toward a greater sense of satisfaction. Their figurative prayers answer and account for themselves. Examples of intercession form into those of petition, and ultimately into that of meditation, for the sake of perhaps minimizing the world's sheer and utter chaos. Nmixx's debut single, "LO," posits how godly figures should preserve the fantastic characters the song creates like it is a selfless prayer. It creates an apostrophe, the speaker calling on an unknown listener and bringing them along for the adventure of a lifetime. Don't be surprised yet, calm down, down, down. The listener's role is much the same as when readers decide and even take on the fate of characters like Prospero in The Tempest. Just here we go, no need to fear, never give up, baby, trusting me and you. They perpetuate literature's never-ending cycle of struggles to overcome, and in likening them to someone of such substantial power, there exists a complex reality like that which Schrödinger is famous for, one in which this power is, in fact, strong and real, and one in which this power does not exist in its anticipatory form. The song's implication that both exist simultaneously calls upon divine intervention to resolve the cognitive dissonance of the people, like a prayer of intercession. The speaker also commands the figurative stage they share with the listener, trusting them to keep up with essentially incomprehensible exclamations. Hey, look at that moving eye, eyes, see this, shoob, 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 hook, get into me more, good, zoom, zoom, good. The speaker engages with the listener in a way that shows they care for those around them in a crazy world with crazier dialogue, and this relationship and their consequential intercession are inherent to the song's worldview. The group's second single, "Dice," displays a strong focus on petitioning for the sake of their own interests rather than attempting intercession. Even when the song comes to a close, beginnings as the self occupy the speaker's mind, utilizing an aphra in the final chorus. A score we make together, a number you couldn't catch up, a world beyond imagination. Keeping everything close to the chest with the repetition of A at the start of each clause implicates how the speaker's outlook has become more selfish. There's no opportunity for the epistrophe they employ earlier within the song, further emphasizing their intentions with this contrast. Even as a translation, there's also a great sense of musicality within the song's language, like "between the infinite universes," "flip the drawn card," or "surfing in the sky," "flying in the ocean." They have crisp and even glossy qualities in their enunciation, and language diction often has a strong draw that might appear bewitching, nefarious, or otherwise sinful. In novels like Brave New World, after all, the narrator creates intrigue and even suspense through almost orgasmic language. It incorporates beauty into everything, quickly losing any sense of moderation to build toward climactic descriptions. And the speaker in Dice treats their own situation at hand as something akin to one of Huxley's orgy porgies, practically in debt to this pleasureful language. Leave that realistic dream behind, wake up when you're awake, fly high above the water. They also become increasingly familiar and open with the listener, grouping them in with friends, but later calling them babe. This confused diction portrays the speaker's relationship with the self. In the end, it is simply not their relationships with others that matter enough to implicate factors beyond these small hints, and that is only if one can propose they are hints, as they drop like flies without any true story to tell. The defining feature of the song is ultimately the point of view character, a perspective driven to establish a petition for themselves. They do not seek to clearly define anything else, but their self-interest remains consistent. The transition from intercession to petition seemingly inevitably hurtles into a state of simple meditation. A large portion of the song Love Me Like This dedicates itself to descriptions of nature, primarily flora and water. They reference a pretty flower in an iron-made heart, blending the natural world with the man-made world. They speak of how it blooms throughout the song and solidify their place in a world of divine beauty. After all, the existence of divinity is not a question with their portrayal of water. Water is symbolic of life. To submerge oneself and re-emerge from water anew is one of the great hallmarks of literature as a whole. And the speaker states that they are hiding in a deep blue sea, suggesting they are ready to be reborn. Though they do not describe a flood, they make it rain in the desert, and as such transform a barren environment into a realm of beauty and depth, the kind of world that can enrich their lives aside from prayer for anyone's individual sake. They also reference a big wave coming, and forces of divinity in one's mind's eye derive such qualifiers about a symbol for life. In addition, this is a force that the speaker engages with beyond measures like choice. They sing Love Me Like This, Love Me Like That, with the implicit existence of themselves and the listener as a duo going together. The suggestion they are chasing the beat of the listener's heart involves the removal of the I, which might indicate an ontological force according to personality psychology. Rather, they reference themselves as my, and therefore an epistemological force, the me to be described. Chasing in this case is an adjective. Its motivation is implicit and not an action that they can decide whether or not to take on. As such, it must be their interpretation of the divine. They break their world down from a tale of selfish grandeur to the relegation of oneself as a participant in its game. Mixx pop's trajectory parallels that of humanity. The world as it stands follows patterns, and humanity follows each and every one of those same patterns. As a result, the world is one of chaos, but humanity's ultimate fate is to attempt to placate the chaos. And our hidden tactic in this war is our ability to not only follow but predict patterns through art. Mixx pop, as it was and as it is, represents humanity's rebellion, its own trajectory toward a more unsanctimonious existence at the hands of whatever potential divine. Mixx pop, its relevance in the plot of humanity, and the innovation it inspires will inevitably breed more of the art form it feeds from. It allows us to parallel chaos ourselves, and gripping it by the reins might eventually bring chaos to its knees or even implicate the force in a song.